Have you ever wondered why no one talks about this? You reach a certain age, 70, 75, even 80, and suddenly people assume you've stopped caring about closeness, about touch, about intimacy. But here's the quiet truth. Many seniors still think about it, still long for it, still miss it. The problem? No one brings it up. Not your doctor, not your kids, not even your closest friends. So you're left wondering, is it just me? Let me reassure you, it's not just you. Intimacy doesn't disappear after 70. It simply changes. And in some ways, it becomes more emotional, more honest, and more meaningful than ever before. But without conversation, many seniors feel confused, even ashamed. That's why we're here. In this video, we'll explore 7 eye-opening truths about intimacy in your 70s and beyond. Truths that rarely get discussed, but matter deeply. Whether you're single or with a partner, these insights will help you feel more connected to your body, your needs, and your heart. Because connection doesn't age, and neither does your right to feel seen, valued, and close. Why this topic still matters. After 70, there's a quiet myth that follows many people into their later years. That intimacy is something only meant for the young. That once you hit a certain age, the need for connection fades. But the truth, your desire to feel loved, close, and emotionally seen doesn't disappear. It just becomes more private, more internal, and sometimes more painful to talk about. You may not bring it up in conversation, but it lingers in those silent moments. When you lie in bed at night, remembering what closeness used to feel like. When you watch a couple holding hands and wonder if you'll feel that again. When you crave touch, not out of desire, but out of loneliness. That's because intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's about being wanted, understood, and held, even without words. As we grow older, our bodies may slow down, but our longing to feel connected stays just as strong. In fact, many seniors say intimacy feels even more meaningful now because it's no longer driven by pressure or image. It's rooted in tenderness, patience, and emotional safety. And yet, it's still hard to talk about. Maybe you felt ashamed to bring it up. Maybe you've been told that's just part of aging. Or maybe you've just never had a space where it felt okay to be honest about what you need. That's why this conversation matters, because your feelings are real, and your need for connection deserves to be honored, not ignored. So in this video, we'll gently open the door to 7 truths that may feel private, even uncomfortable, but also freeing, because love doesn't retire, and your right to feel close, cherished, and seen doesn't end at 70. Truth number 1, intimacy doesn't end, it evolves. There's a popular belief that intimacy has an expiration date, that once you reach a certain age, 70, 75, 80, the physical side of life simply disappears. But here's the real truth. Intimacy doesn't end. It simply evolves. You may not feel the same desire. Your body might respond differently. But intimacy isn't only about passion. It's about connection, physical, emotional, even spiritual. In your younger years, intimacy may have been fast-paced, spontaneous, or focused on physical energy. But after 70, it often becomes something deeper, more thoughtful, more intentional. Many seniors say that intimacy now is less about performance and more about presence. It's about holding hands without rushing, lying close without pressure, feeling safe, seen, and emotionally understood. In fact, this kind of intimacy can feel even more powerful because it comes from a place of trust, maturity, and deep emotional clarity. For some, it might mean quiet evenings sitting side by side. For others, it might mean soft conversations in bed, shared laughter, or simply falling asleep while touching fingertips. And yeah, for some, it still includes physical closeness, but it's slower, gentler, less about the goal and more about the bond. If you felt like you shouldn't want intimacy anymore, please let that go. There is no age limit for love, no deadline for desire, no expiration date on the need to feel close. What changes is the expression, not the importance. This is why it's called intimacy, not just sex, because what your heart craves is connection, not just contact. So if you've been quietly wondering, is it still okay to want this? The answer is simple. Yes. It's not just okay, it's natural. And your need for closeness is not a sign of weakness. It's a beautiful reminder that you're still human, still loving, still alive. Truth number 2, desire changes, but it doesn't disappear. There's a quiet fear many people carry after turning 70. What if I don't feel desire anymore? Or just as common, what if I still do, but no one else does? The truth is, desire doesn't disappear. It simply shifts. Your body's chemistry changes, hormones decline, energy levels vary, certain medications may dull sensation or slow response time. But the emotional spark, the longing for touch, closeness, or even flirtation, that often remains. It may not show up the same way it did in your 40s or 50s, but that doesn't mean it's gone. Sometimes desire now arrives more slowly. It may need more warmth, more tenderness, more time. Sometimes it starts in the heart, not the body, and sometimes it's still fiery. It just needs safety, space, and patience to express itself. Unfortunately, many seniors feel embarrassed by this shift. They wonder if something's wrong because they don't feel desire the way they used to. Or worse, they feel ashamed for still wanting connection at all. But desire is not a problem. It's not shameful. It's a sign of vitality, of life. It means you're still capable of loving, of being moved, of craving closeness. In fact, the more you understand how your body and emotions have changed, the more freedom you gain to rediscover desire on your own terms. That might mean experimenting with touch again, slowly and gently. It might mean having an open conversation with your partner, or even just with yourself. It might mean letting go of old pressure and expectations and welcoming a new kind of experience. Desire after 70 is real. It's just quieter, wiser, more intuitive. And whether you're experiencing it fully or rediscovering it gently, it's still yours. So please don't let age tell you what you're not allowed to feel. Desire is not reserved for the young. It's a deeply human part of your heart, and it deserves to be honored, not hidden. Truth number 3, physical challenges don't mean the end of intimacy. As we age, it's natural to experience physical changes. Some are small, others feel frustrated, but nearly every senior experiences some form of physical challenge that affects intimacy. Maybe it's joint stiffness that makes cuddling uncomfortable. Maybe it's lower flexibility, dryness, fatigue, or even pain. Maybe it's medical conditions like diabetes, arthritis, or heart issues that limit how and when you connect. For many people, these changes can feel discouraging, like a quiet message from the body that says, not anymore. But here's the truth. Physical challenges don't mean the end of intimacy. They simply invite a new kind of creativity. Instead of focusing on what you can't do, it's time to ask, what can we still enjoy? Sometimes that means slowing things down, creating a calm space. Try different positions or using pillows for support. Sometimes it means using products that make things easier, such as moisturizers, lubricants, or massage oils. And sometimes it means simply redefining intimacy altogether. Because true intimacy isn't about checking off a box. It's not about replicating what worked in your 30s or 40s. It's about being present, being close, and being kind to one another and yourself. Even the smallest gesture, a soft back rub, a shared bath, or lying side by side in silence, it can become deeply fulfilling when it comes from a place of intention and care. And if you're experiencing serious discomfort or dysfunction, don't suffer in silence. There are doctors, therapists, and specialists who work specifically with seniors and can offer real solutions without judgment. Aging changes the body, yes, but it also brings deeper emotional intimacy, a stronger bond, and a softer, wiser understanding of what connection truly means. You are not broken. You are simply in a different chapter. And this chapter still deserves closeness, joy, and gentle discovery. Truth number 4, emotional intimacy often deepens with age. In your younger years, intimacy might have been centered around excitement, a spark, a look, a rush of energy. But as you grow older, something beautiful happens. The spark may quiet, but the depth expands. This is the stage of life where emotional intimacy often becomes richer than ever before. Because now you've lived. You've loved, lost, learned, and endured. You've seen life from every side, and that brings a level of understanding no youth can offer. Emotional intimacy isn't about grand gestures anymore. It's about little things. The way someone remembers how you take your tea, the comfort of sitting in silence without feeling awkward. The soft "I'm here" look across the room when words aren't needed. It's in the shared history. The gentle acceptance of each other's past, the forgiveness of imperfections, and the quiet gratitude of still being here, together. Even if you're not in a relationship right now, emotional intimacy can still thrive. It might show up in a phone call that lasts a little longer than usual, in an honest conversation with a trusted friend, or even in the way you reconnect with your own thoughts, needs, and feelings with compassion. Because intimacy doesn't only exist between two people. Sometimes it begins with you. How kindly you treat yourself. How open you are with your emotions. How deeply you allow yourself to feel. And if you are with a partner, or open to one, remember this. Emotional connection after 70 can be the strongest kind you've ever known. It doesn't need flash. It needs honesty, presence, and heart. That's the kind of closeness that isn't just felt in the moment, it's remembered for a lifetime. So don't underestimate the quiet power of emotional intimacy, because sometimes the deepest connections happen after the noise fades and the heart finally speaks clearly. Truth number 5, intimacy can exist without a partner. One of the most common and heartbreaking myths about intimacy is this, that you need a partner to experience it, but the truth, you don't. Yes, having a loving partner can be beautiful, but that isn't the only path to feeling close, cherished, and fulfilled. You can be single, by choice or by circumstance, and still experience deep, meaningful intimacy. It might look different. It might feel more personal, but it's just as real. For some, intimacy without a partner starts with self-connection. The way you speak to yourself, the way you treat your own body, the time you give to your thoughts, your healing, your pleasure, your peace. This might be through journaling, through long walks where your thoughts unfold, through touch that is tender and not rushed, through rest, through creativity, through the calm of finally feeling whole in your own company. For others, it may come from friendships, deep bonds built on trust, conversation, and emotional support. A hug from someone who truly understands you, a late-night phone call, a shared laugh that heals something you didn't even know needed healing. That's intimacy too, and it matters. You may no longer be in a romantic relationship. Maybe you've lost someone. Maybe life took a different turn. But that doesn't mean you've lost the right or the ability to feel close to others and to yourself. Reflection is intimate, in solitude, in letting yourself feel joy without needing permission from anyone else. So if you've been telling yourself, that part of my life is over, let this be your gentle reminder. It's not over. It's just evolving. You are still worthy of connection, still capable of closeness, still invited to feel loved in your way, in your timing, and on your terms. Intimacy isn't only found between two people. Sometimes the most meaningful connection is the one you form with yourself. Truth number 6, communication becomes the most powerful form of intimacy. In our younger years, intimacy often begins with physical connection, a touch, a kiss, a moment of passion. But after 70, something shifts, not because connection fades, but because it deepens in a way that words begin to matter even more. That's the beauty of communication. When you can sit with someone and say, here's how I feel, here's what I need, here's what I'm afraid of, and what I still long for. That kind of honesty builds a bridge stronger than touch alone ever could. At this stage in life, good communication can often do what passion once did. It builds trust. It creates safety. It opens doors to deeper connection, even in silence. You may not always say the perfect thing, But the act of showing up in a conversation, honestly, kindly, and bravely, is itself an act of intimacy. And this doesn't only apply to romantic relationships. Clear, heartfelt communication with friends, caregivers, even your doctor, can make you feel more understood, more respected, and more emotionally supported. It could be saying, I miss feeling close. I'm afraid my body is changing. I don't want to feel invisible. These aren't easy things to say, but they're powerful. Because when you speak honestly, you remind yourself that your feelings are valid, that your needs matter. And when the person across from you listens, really listens, that moment becomes an intimate bond all on its own. If you're with a partner, make space for gentle conversations, not just about your worries, but your hopes, your comfort, your curiosity, your joy. And if you're not with someone, start by speaking more gently to yourself. Replace silence with kindness. Replace fear with words. Because connection after 70 doesn't always start with the body. It starts with the courage to be emotionally open. And sometimes just saying, I need closeness, is the bravest and most intimate act of all. Truth number 7, intimacy can be reclaimed at any age. Maybe it's been years, maybe decades. Maybe you've told yourself that chapter is closed, that intimacy belonged to a different version of you in a different time. But here's the truth. Intimacy can be rediscovered, rebuilt, reclaimed at any age. It doesn't matter how long it's been. It doesn't matter what others say. It doesn't even matter what the world assumes about people your age. What matters is what you still feel, what you still want, and what you still deserve. You are not too old, not too late, not too far gone. The human spirit is endlessly resilient, and so is the heart. Even if your body has changed, even if your relationship status has changed, even if your confidence has taken a few hits over the years, you are still allowed to start again, to open that part of your life gently, with curiosity instead of fear. It might begin with a quiet realization that you do still want closeness, that you do still crave warmth, that you're not done feeling emotionally and physically alive. Maybe it starts with a conversation, maybe a new connection. Maybe it starts by simply saying to yourself, I still matter, and so does this part of me. There is no rule that says you have to stop feeling intimate after a certain birthday. There's no expiration date on your ability to love, feel, and connect. You're allowed to unlearn the shame, to push past the silence, to honor the part of you that still wants to feel touched, understood, and seen. And if it's been so long that you feel afraid to try, that's okay. Start small, start soft, but start. Because the door is still open, the light is still on, and it's never too late to step back into the beauty of connection, no matter how old you are. Breaking the silence. Why no one talks about this? Have you ever noticed how quiet the world gets when it comes to intimacy and aging? You can find books about retirement, ads for joint supplements, tips for better sleep, stronger bones, or healthier hearts. But when it comes to emotional and physical closeness after 70, it's like someone turned the volume all the way down. Why? Because for decades we've been told that love, desire, and affection belong to the young. That seniors should focus on staying independent, not intimate. That talking about these feelings is inappropriate, or worse, embarrassing. So we stop talking. We keep quiet. We assume we're the only ones feeling this way. And that silence, it creates loneliness, even shame. But here's the thing. You are not alone, not even close. Millions of seniors still want connection, still miss affection, still crave emotional, and yes, even physical, closeness. There is nothing strange, shameful, or silly about that. You are still human, still feeling, still deserving. And the more we speak honestly about these experiences, the more we give others permission to do the same. You may not have grown up in a world that encouraged these conversations, but today you're part of changing that. So thank you for being here, for listening, and for proving that intimacy, connection, and love are not tied to age. They're tied to being alive. Gentle advice for moving forward, solo or with a partner. Now that we've uncovered the truths, you might be wondering, where do I go from here? Maybe you're in a relationship. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're curious, nervous, hopeful, or all three. Whatever your situation, here's the most important thing to remember. You can begin again. Gently, at your own pace. If you're with a partner, start with presence. Look into their eyes a little longer. Hold their hand without needing a reason. Ask, how are you really feeling lately? Create space for slow, honest conversations. Not about problems, but about connection. Ask what closeness means to them now. Share what you miss, what you enjoy, what you're curious about exploring together. You don't need all the answers. You just need the courage to begin the conversation. And if you're on your own, start with yourself. Reconnect with your body, not from a place of judgment, but with compassion. Try soft stretches, warm baths, clothing that makes you feel at ease, small routines that say, I'm still here, I still matter. Look in the mirror and smile. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're choosing to show up for yourself. And if the desire for connection returns, be open to it. Friendships, conversations, laughter. You never know what paths may reopen when you stop closing the door. This is not about chasing youth. It's about embracing now, with honesty, grace, and gentle self-respect. Your life is not winding down. It's unfolding in a new, quieter, richer way. And in this new season, intimacy can still bloom, not through pressure, but through kindness, not through performance, but through presence. So whatever your story looks like today, just know you are not behind, you are not alone, and you are absolutely allowed to feel love, want love, and create love at any age. Final reflection. If this video made you feel seen, if even one truth echoed something you felt quietly inside, then please remember this. You are not alone. And there is nothing strange, shameful, or forgotten about wanting closeness in your 70s, 80s, or beyond. Your body may have changed. Your life may look different than you expected. But the need for connection, for tenderness, for understanding, that never fades. You're still worthy of love, still capable of feeling deeply, still invited into the beautiful space of human connection. If this video brought you peace or clarity, I hope you'll share it with someone else who may need to hear it. Let us know in the comments, which truth spoke to you most? Your story might give someone else the courage to open up. And if you'd like more calm, honest conversations about aging, health, and the heart, subscribe to Elderly Minds. We're building a community where aging is honored, where silence is replaced with stories, and where you'll never feel invisible again.